Moving to a new country is thrilling, but it brings new challenges. Among the biggest ones, finding the right bank. Local U.S. banks require appointments at a physical branch, address proofs, and sometimes deposits of up to $1,500. The entire process can take weeks. Moving across borders means leaving your credit score behind. Banks won't issue credit cards without one, but without a credit card, you can't build a credit score. Chicken and egg, isn't it? A lower credit score means expensive rental deposits, high interest on loans, and lower chances of qualifying for a job. Forex cards and international debit cards carry markups and may not work at some merchants. So when moving to a new world, why settle for banking that just isn't your style? Introducing Zolve. We make your US move seamless. Get a US bank account in minutes from the comfort of your home and transfer money before you travel. Zolve offers credit cards with a limit of up to $10,000 without an SSN or credit score. Choose a reward plan, earn cashbacks, and build your US credit score from day one. Zolve reports to all 3 credit bureaus. That's not all. Get a US SIM card with up to 30% cheaper plans and access affordable health insurance, renter's insurance, and car loans. Join a community of 400,000 Zolvers from over 100 countries. Get Zolve today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another visa webinar by Zolve, where we bring experts to share all the right information with you so you can avoid all the noise that's there in the digital platform. I am Manshi Gupta and I am part of business team at Zolve. And before starting this session, I would like to ask everyone who's there with us that have you received your I-20? So, guys, if you have received your I-20, you can let us know by writing received on the comment section. And if you are expecting it soon, you can write expecting it soon on the chat box. So, yeah, I'll repeat it again. Guys, if you have received your I-20, you can let us know by writing yes or received in the comment section. And if you are expecting it soon, you can write expecting it soon. Great, great, great. We are receiving so many received comments. Great. Darshika, Ariman, Ashish, so many people are writing receive. Himani is expecting it soon. Great, great. So I would like to take a moment and congratulate every one of you who have got their US university applications approved. It is truly a moment of accomplishment, but remember, guys, it's just the beginning of your journey. Now you need to proceed with steps like getting your visa approved, for which we are here to assist you. Once you get your visa approved, you will need to apply for an education loan, a scholarship. You need to get a SIM card, a bank account, and a card to ensure a smooth transition in the US. This process can be overwhelming, but not with Zolve. So, Zolve is a one step solution for all the students planning to pursue their undergrad, postgrad, or PhD program at an American university. With Zolve, you can get education loan from top 15 providers with just one form. And we also give you scholarship to help you fund your education. Zolve also can assist you to get a SIM card, a checking account, and a US credit card even before you land in the US. And it's always wise to arrange your finances well in advance so you don't face any difficulties in a new country. Yes, yes, I can see so many comments ki okay, we need to know about slot. So yeah, guys, without any further ado, now I would like to introduce our visa expert Sanjay Kaushik sir. Sanjay Kaushik sir has over 2 decades of experience in assisting students to move to a different country to study abroad, and he is here with us to share all the right information. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Manshi, and thank you all the students those who have decided to attend the Zolve webinar today. It's going to be pretty insightful. So, like Manshi said, that there is a lot of noise and there's a lot of information overload rather on the digital platforms about the slots, when are the slots going to get released and stuff like that. So, the whole idea of getting together is so that we can bust those myths. We provide you the authentic and the correct information. And then so that your stress levels from now on would go down, because up until now things were in your control. And now it seems that it has gone into somebody else's hand because the slots are not being made available. What are the documents required? How do I qualify for a visa? What is the process? So we would be busting those myths, giving you the right kind of information so that your journey from now on becomes much more smoother. So, like Manji said, my name is Sanjay Kaushik. I used to work with the US Embassy as a visa chief. I was a visa specialist there for 12 years. And then for the past almost good 23 years, I've been helping students to crack the interview and providing relevant information. So, the whole idea of getting together is to provide you the information so that all that noise and the clutter in the digital space lowers down. So, the first step is like, once when you get your I-20, what should we do? So first, let's talk about the slots. So anybody who's going for the fall session, which starts in the August or the September, the US Embassy has already made a clear announcement on their website that they would be releasing the appointments starting June and July, right? So I repeat myself, June and July would be the time when they'll be releasing hundreds and thousands of slots made available for students. It's not that that you will not get a slot, or do I have to get up in the middle of the night to get a slot between 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. That all is noise. The reason is that if you have received your I-20, if you look at your I-20 carefully, the top left of the I-20 says Department of Homeland Security, and also it says very clearly the USCIS, United States and Customs Services. So which means that getting your I-20 is not only coming from the university, but also from these two very important departments of the US government. So the I-20, any document starting with I in the US, is coming from the immigration. And when you start filling your visa application form, which is called the DS, that means Department of State. So step one is to start filling your visa application form, right? And even before I move on to the DS-160, I would suggest and recommend everyone to get the right kind of information. Please go on to the US Travel Docs, the US Embassy website. As soon as you log on to the US Travel Docs, and when you click on the non-immigrant visa, there a pop-up that comes up. If you read the important notice, it says about the visa slots being made available. So what I suggest each student is to start your visa process now by filling your visa form, paying your visa application fees, and also paying your service fees, and then start looking for these slots. And I believe that the slots would be made available sometime end of April or beginning of May for sure. For June and July, once again, I believe that the Department of Homeland Security and the USCIS would have definitely provided the right kind of numbers to the Department of State, saying that we are allocating or we have issued X number of I-20s, and so be prepared to issue X number of slots for the students going from India or from each state or city in India itself, right? So a lot of students also talk about saying that, I'm from Chennai, should I book my visa appointment in Delhi? Or I'm from Delhi, should I go to Mumbai? And Mumbai would say that, can I go to Hyderabad? That's your personal choice. And because a lot of students get stressed out because they're not finding the visa slots, so they start doing all these things. But I would suggest and recommend that, hold on to your stress. I'm very sure that each student would be getting a slot. And anyone who's going in for, let's say, a mid-session, the summer session, which probably starts in the month of May or June, once again, if you go onto the embassy website, it says very clearly that, anyone who's going in a mid-session, it would be extremely difficult for them to get a slot because they have not started releasing the slots yet, right? Even for them, the emergency request would be difficult for the embassy to consider. However, there is no harm in trying. At the same time, also be in touch with your university so that you can also ask them in case if you could also arrive in the US a little later than your actual start date. So that would be my advice to start with the slots. I hope that I'm clear on this. If you have questions, you can start posting on them, and then we'll definitely get back to you right in the end. Now, we come back to the visa form, which is called the DS-160. Like I said in the beginning, DS stands for Department of State, right? So when you start filling your visa application form, and if so, this is the time when you have to check whether your passport has your surname and your given name bifurcated, or if it's mentioned in let's say a given name and your surname is blank. In that case, you have to mention your entire name in your surname field and your given name field you have to mention FNU. So let me repeat once again. If your passport does not have a surname, while filling your DS-160, you have to mention your entire name in the surname field on the DS-160, and your given name would be FNU. Or if you have time, you can go ahead and get a new passport made at this point of time so that it remains in sync. However, if it's not there, then that's the solution. Now, when you start filling your DS-160, you can actually start filling your DS-160, and before submission, it is valid for 30 days. So within those 30 days, you can in fact retrieve your DS-160, you can review it, and once you've reviewed it and once you've satisfied, only then go and submit your DS-160. Because once you submit your DS-160, it stays in the system for 99 years. So when you're eventually applying for, let's say, once you get your visa, you're in the US, and if you have to apply for, let's say, an OPT or a CPT, which is the curriculum practical training, or an optional practical training, or if you want to extend your visa, or if you want to get an H1, the first visa application form that you fill now would always be taken into consideration. So make sure that whatever information that you're mentioning on your DS-160 is absolutely correct. All right. So review it n number of times. Once you're satisfied, only then go and submit your DS-160. The major changes, I would not say major changes on the new portal. There are only one or two major changes that the embassy has done. One is that the look and the feel of the US travel docs has changed a little bit. The most important thing what they've incorporated is that they have put in a verification code there. So which means that when you start filling your profile, or when you start creating your profile on the new travel docs portal, it'll send you a verification code on your email. So that means it becomes very specific to a specific person. So once you put in that verification code, only then it allows you to move forward. The other thing what they've done is they have also incorporated 3 security questions. So make sure that when you are filling your profile, or when you're creating your profile, note down those answers very carefully, because this is going to be one thing which will stay until you want to apply for your US visas. Let's say that you're applying for a student visa now, tomorrow that you want to come back and renew your student visa, and then thereafter it's going to be your H1, stuff like that. So this same portal would always be used. So make sure that you note down your DS-160 number, and also your security questions, your user ID and your password at a secure place, so that whenever you need that, you can retrieve and make those changes according to the visa category that you will be applying for. So now if I go back to your DS-160, the DS-160 has close to about 18 or 19 pages. However, you can always review those pages, you can fill those application form, you can move on to the next page, and you can come back and make those changes. But most importantly, they're only valid for 30 days. So make sure that when you're filling your DS-160, save it, review it. Once you have reviewed it very completely and you believe that all the information on that is absolutely correct, then only go and submit that DS-160. Once you submit that, once again, it would stay in the system for 99 years. At the same time, I would also encourage students, when they start filling the DS-160 at this point of time, you can also send us your questions, which we will be coming up in the next session and talking about what are the do's and don'ts of your DS-160, what you should fill out on your DS-160, and what are the things that you should not be filling out on your DS-160. So make sure that you start filling your DS-160 now. If you have any question, you can always send it to the Zolve team, and we'll be more than happy to be doing a special session on DS-160 where we can largely discuss on what goes on your DS-160. All right. So Manshi, I would say that why don't we go ahead and talk about Zolve a little bit more, because I'm really really excited about Zolve, because once when a student gets his visa, then Zolve comes into place, and they come into place even before they start their journey. That's a fantastic thing. So if you could explain a little bit more about Zolve, that would really help, Manshi. Thank you.
Sure, sir. So I would like to. So many people have joined us in the beginning, in the middle of the session. So I would like to ask everyone again: if you have received your I-20, you can let us know by writing "received" on the comment section, because once you receive a confirmation, that is obviously a moment of accomplishment, but it's just the beginning of your journey, right? So now you have to proceed further by getting your visa approved, for which we are here to assist you. Once the visa is approved, you will need a student loan, a scholarship to fund your education. You once you decide to move, once the moving date is near, you will need a US SIM card, a US checking account, and a US credit card to ensure a smooth transition from India to US. Because imagine you landed in the US, and you have to book a Uber ride back to your accommodation or back to your university. So you will have to take a Uber, and Uber doesn't take cash in US. So you will need a credit card to pay for that also. So if you have a credit card in advance, it will be easier for you. And Zolve is there to help you in every step of your journey. So Zolve is a one-stop solution for all the students who are planning to pursue their undergrad, postgrad, or PhD program in the US. So with Zolve, you can get, as I said, education loan, a scholarship. Other than that, you can also get a US SIM card, a US checking account, and a US credit card right from the comfort of your home. So you can apply for it once you have got your I-20 and visa approved, and you can get it delivered at your home in India. So I'll put the link in the description, so you guys can definitely go ahead and check it out. Uh, so you can take a look at the services. I have just changed the slide, and we will definitely go move ahead to the Q&A session. So I'll request everyone to keep their questions ready, post it in the comment section so that we can pick it one by one and sir can answer it. I would also request every one of you to click on the link that is pinned in the comment box and check Zolve once. So yeah, sir, I think we are good to go. We are good to take questions from
Hmm,
everyone and answer them.
fantastic.
Okay, guys. Okay, Priyanka is asking, what about the refusal slot, sir?
Okay. Okay. So once again, if we go back to the source, which is the US Embassy website, and if you look at, like I said, if you click on the non-immigrant visa, there a pop-up that comes up. They have clearly mentioned that for the refusal slots, they will be opening up sometime in August. So which means probably by beginning of July or mid of July, they'll have a lot of slots available for the uh, students who have been refused earlier, unfortunately. So sometime in August, you'll get a visa appointment. Thank you.
Great. So Darshika is asking, how can I know about the scholarship? So Darshika, I would request you to go to Zolve's website, and we will share all the information here shortly. Sir, Ritu is asking, can the service fees be paid post receiving visa slot?
Yes, yes. I mean, you can pay the service fees at any point of time, at least 5 days before you go for the visa interview. Let's say that I got my I-20 today. I can start filling my visa application form. I can pay the visa application fees. And let's say that, the slots are available and I book a slot for, let's say, 1st of July, right? So I can pay my service fees, let's say by the 25th of June, right? So when you pay the service fees, instantly you get a receipt. That's what you need to carry. Yes, you can do it once you have already scheduled your visa appointment. Thank you.
Okay, so Bumpiest Dig is asking, do we need to finalize housing before the visa interview? So would you like to
Uh,
take this?
yeah, yeah, not really. Like, I mean, most of the time the students would just go ahead and fill the college address. And during the interview, if the officer is asking you, have you done the housing? The answer would be, sir, I would be doing my housing once my visa is approved. I'm already in touch with the counselors at my university and they would be assisting me with that. As of now, your college details as housing are good enough. Thank you.
So we also have students who are going for summer intake and they're asking for slots, sir.
Okay, okay. So, like I had mentioned in while I was talking about the slots, once again go to the embassy website. They've said that it'll be very very small numbers, probably or no numbers for the session going in for the summer intake, and they would also not be encouraging a lot of students for the emergency appointment. But it's worth trying. And at the same time, I would say keep a cutoff for yourself. Let's say by 15th of May, if you're not able to book an appointment, start talking to the university if they can permit you to enter a little, later during the months. So please start talking to the universities. Thank you.
So, Sir Sirish is asking, will there be a problem during visa interview of if there is a name mismatched between name in college transcripts and the I-20, but I-20 matches with passport and with DS-160?
Okay. No, not really, because I mean, I have in the past uh, 37 years, I've experienced, especially people coming from South and let's say from west of India, that they have very various, I mean, they would have name of the parents and the grandparents and stuff like that, on their transcripts. However, if your I-20, if your DS-160, if your passports are in sync, then there's no issue at all. Thank you.
So Raj is asking, my program starts in July first week. I be able to get a slot? I think we have already addressed this
Yeah,
twice.
for July, I'm pretty sure, because they've said June and July they'll be releasing appointments. So, if you get an appointment in June, so if your program starts in July, I'm sure you'll be able to make it. Thank you.
Praneeth is asking, I was admitted to the Masters in Cybersecurity program at the IIT for the
Great.
Spring 24 intake. My visa was approved and I started program. However, due to personal reasons, I returned to India after 20 days and deferred my admission. Now I'm planning to pursue the same program at the University of Maryland College Park in spring 25. Do I need to renew my existing visa or attend a new visa interview?
Okay. So the answer to that is yes, you have to get a new visa, because according to the regulation, if a student is outside the US for more than five months, then they have to get their new visa. However, because the portal where you will be applying for your visa, it'll ask you certain questions. So the process would remain that you have to fill your DS-160, then you have to go into your profile, pay the visa application fees, and on the portal of your when you're booking your visa appointment, there are certain questions the system would ask, and then it'll determine whether you qualify for an interview waiver, because you'll be applying now for the same visa category. So you may qualify for an interview waiver. However, what that means is that and then you have to book a visa slot for yourself for sure. You don't have to go through the whole process of taking your fingerprints and the interview at this point of time. So you go to the VFS office, you submit your documents over there under the visa renewal. Then all the documents are then sent to the embassy. The officer will look at the case and decide either to issue a visa or call you for an interview. If he decides to call you for an interview, he'll send you a letter along with your passport, which would enable you to enter the embassy without scheduling an appointment. It'll give you the date and time, or it'll ask you to appear for an interview any given day before a specific time. Thank you.
So Paul is asking, should I show financial documents to support my living expenses as well as for the 2 full years of masters along with loan documents for tuition?
Okay. All right. So, Paul, the whole idea of the visa interview is to ascertain the financial strength of the family, not the availability of funds, right? So when I say financial stability, or how strong your family is financially, that essentially means that they would like to see what is your family doing in India? Do they have an income? Do they have savings, investments, properties? And they do not want to see uh, funds stacked in your saving account, which covers your 2 years of living expense and your tuition fees. So availability they don't need, right? They need to see the financial strength. If you've taken the education loan, even then, even if it covers your tuition fees and your living expense, I would highly recommend that please do carry financial papers of your family to show financial ties to your home country. All right. Thank you so much.
Next question is from Koteshwar. He's asking, my visa interview is on the month of May for fall 24. Is it safe?
Well, if you've already booked a visa appointment, then it's fine. Yes. I mean, if you were lucky enough to get a visa appointment, then prepare for the interview and appear for the interview. It's absolutely safe. No worries. Thank you.
Ashish has a question. He says ki there is a case filed against me in my family court. Will this reject my visa?
No, not really, because I mean, there could be a lot of accident cases. There could be like civil case. There could be some kind of a dispute. It's not based on that unless you're a national threat. Then it becomes a little tricky. you know. So based on that, it's not that, and of course, if there's a case which is going on, and you of course need to have permission from the court, you have to carry those documents when you go in for your visa interview. Make sure that you carry all your documents when you go in for the visa interview for sure. Thank you.
So, sir, Nishant is asking if my course has only a summer intake, can we apply for emergency visa or is it advisable to wait for new slots?
Well, you should do both. I mean, in order to get an emergency appointment, you have to first secure a visa slot. Only then the system allows you to request for an emergency visa, right? So the first step would be to secure or to book a visa appointment, and then on the system would show uh, a link that opens up which says that request for an emergency appointment. Then you can put in and let the officer decide. So, but it is like I said, even though their system says or their instruction says that they would not be releasing appointments, but it is important that because you've really worked hard, you've reached this stage, and so I would suggest and encourage that do put in your emergency request and wait for the response. Thank you.
So, Elizabeth is asking, hello, sir, does the financial documents which we had submitted for I-20 be visible to the visa officer?
Well, the answer is yes, because all the documents that you send, like I said in the beginning, it also goes to the Department of Homeland Security and also the USCIS, and all these are interlinked. If the officer wants to see, he can actually log into the portal and then check the documents that you've sent. But that's kind of rare. But yes, I mean, if they want, they can definitely go and check. Thank you.
Hema is asking, I have filled out my DS-160 and also paid for the appointment, but will renew my passport next month. Then what should I do?
Okay. So in this case, if you've already filled your DS-160 and paid for the appointment, and you have already submitted your DS-160, and if your passport is due for renewal, then first get your passport renewed, then fill a new DS-160, right? And then carry both the DS-160 confirmation page and explain it to the VFS office that your passport expired. So hence, do carry the old DS-160, your old passport, new DS-160, and your new passport uh, with you when you go in for your biometrics, and explain it to the officer over there, and they would make the changes. It is allowed, absolutely, not an issue. Thank you.
Lakshmi is asking, can I schedule the biometric and interview at a different location than what I mentioned in my DS-160?
The answer is yes. Yes, you can. However, I always recommend and suggest all students to try and book the appointments in their own counselor district, because that's how the officers have divided, or the embassies have divided the zones, so that the officers over there are more tuned to understand the local understanding and the ties to your home country. So my suggestion is, the first, to answer your question, yes, you can do that. You can schedule appointments at two different places. My suggestion is, it is better to have it in your own council district for better results. Thank you.
Sir, Nishit is asking, can we get visa interview practice sessions here? So I would like to say yes, we will be doing multiple sessions like this. So in the first few sessions, we are trying to clear the basic doubts. And once the basic doubts regarding the portal or the DS-160 and everything is sorted, we'll do visa mock interviews. We'll ask all of you who have been attending the sessions regularly to volunteer for it, and we can guide you one on one. So you make sure you attend all the webinars, and soon we'll do a visa practice session here, right, sir?
Absolutely. We would love to do that, because, ultimately that's the whole idea of organizing these events, so that, because like we said in the beginning, there's so much of information or misinformation or so much of noise, that how do we crack the interview? A lot of people talk about you have to show ties to your home country, but nobody explains anybody what are the ties that one should show. What is the visa law? What should be the visa journey of a student? How should they qualify for a visa? That's the whole idea. So I would encourage every student, those who are attending these sessions, to keep attending our sessions, because the whole idea is to give you the right information which would eventually help you. So please do join for the practice session. It would be really, really helpful. Thank you.
Definitely. So we'll move on to the next question, which is by Pallavi. She's asking, do I need to show some address proof of my residence during the visa?
Well, you'll be carrying your passport. That's more than enough. Thank you.
I I mean, I can see, sir, there are again a lot of questions about Fall 24 slots opening. When will it open? I think we have covered it majorly in our previous webinar. You can, guys, you can definitely check out the link. I'll put the link here of our previous webinar. But again, if you, sir, if you would like to,
Sure.
tell them again in brief, it would be really helpful.
Definitely. Right. So, like I said, I mean, because of the all these different digital platforms, there's so much of noise that there'll be no dates. There are a lot of people those are posting that we can get you an appointment. So, I want to make one thing very clear over here. Nobody can actually hold on to anybody's slot and give it to somebody else. Right? You all are very, very educated people. Those who are going for maybe undergrad or a master's in computer science. And if you log into your profile, when you create your profile, three things. One, as soon as you move on to the next page, cannot be changed. Those are your name, your date of birth, your passport detail, and your place of birth. These four things, right? So one cannot hold on to anybody's profile and give it to somebody else the visa slot. The only thing that they do is people those who are in the business of giving you visa appointment is that they would sit 24/7 and look for visa slots, and then so what they're doing is they're working diligently to get an appointment for you, and they're asking you to pay for it. However, what I suggest and recommend is go back to the source. The US Embassy has made a clear announcement. They would be releasing the appointment sometime in June and July for the fall session. And like I said in the beginning, that the Department of Homeland Security, the USCIS, the Department of State, these are three major departments working on a particular I-20 and your F1 visa. So I'm sure they are what do you say, sharing the data with each other, and I'm sure the embassies are going to be gearing up to be releasing those kind of slots for the students. It is only that uh, it is bothering the students that I'm not able to get an appointment now, right? Which, like I said, if you log in 24/7, you will not find a slot for the June and July session because they've not started releasing the appointments. So please relax. I'm sure there'll be a lot of slots available in thousands, and I'm very sure that students would get their appointments. However, be very, proactive in completing your process now so that you're ready to schedule an appointment as soon as they're released. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll move ahead to the next question, which is by Gitanjali, who's asking, will it negatively impact my visa if I have showed personal funds of mine and a personal sponsor for I-20? But now if I am showing my personal funds and loan for visa appointment, how to answer?
Okay, so like I said in the beginning, so we have to show strong ties to our home country, right? So that's one. So how do we show that? So financial ties, if you show your own personal funds, and if you've taken an education loan, and if you showed separate set of documents which are going to be your personal funds and your personal sponsor. So personal sponsor, I assume, could be your parents. So you could always say that during the interview that I have been working for X number of years, or I have my own savings and investments that I have collected over 2 3 years that I've been working, and I've taken an education loan because I would like to be responsible for what I'm studying, and I would like to repay the loan once I return back to my home country. And because the education loans are easily available, I can pay them in easy installments and also get a lot of tax benefits once I return back to my home country. So I'm covering two things here. So first thing, I'm showing that I'm a very responsible person. I understand what I'm doing, and indirectly, even in this question, I've shown my intent to return back to my home country. So, in order to overcome the presumption that I'm not a potential immigrant, that's how you answer those questions, where you subtly inform the officer that you have reasons to come back. Thank you.
So there's one question related to one we discussed. So Malik is asking, they are asking for ITR papers if my family are as my parents are sponsoring me.
So what I assume from the question is that probably the parents, they don't have ITRs. So that's the reason this question is asked. If the family is sponsoring you and if your parents are paying taxes, then carrying your ITR returns for the last 3 years is good. So this is what I'm assuming. So the answer to that is probably, if let's say there's a family who's into farming, so farming is exempt from paying the income tax, or filing your tax returns to an extent. So you could always say that, I mean, this is what your family is doing, and that's the reason because it's an exempt. Otherwise, I need to know more specific to give a specific answer. This would be very general and open, and commenting like this would be extremely incorrect on my part. So basically, if your parents are working, carry their tax returns. If your parents are not filing taxes, if it's a tax exempt, you can always tell to the officer, and the visa officer understands the dynamics in India. Thank you.
So, sir, next question is from Sayyed, who is asking, I cleared my BTech in July 23. For the interview, do I have to show the year gap?
Well, it depends. Like, if you've not been doing anything, then you could always say that, sir, my focus was very clear because I wanted to upgrade my skills because the industry has really grown and I wanted to specialize in this particular area. Based on that, I was doing my research. I always wanted to go and study abroad. So I was doing my research, looked at, various colleges, completed all the prerequisites. And then now, I've gotten to one of the top colleges. So I like to go and study there. Or you could also say that, when I was getting job offers, all the organization wanted a commitment for 2 years. However, because my idea was very clear that I wanted to go and study in the US, so I did not wanted to commit and then leave them in between. So that's how you can justify your gap. Thanks.
Great. In our last session, also, so many people have questions about gap year, and we have addressed it very deeply in details. So, guys, I would request again, whoever have missed our last session, you can go back to the session, and you will get detailed answers for these questions. I will move ahead to the next question, which is by Seojia. Sorry if I butchered the name. Will the low GRE score be a problem for a visa?
Not really, because if you look at what's happening in the last 3 or 4 years, is that ever since the COVID came in, uh, most of the universities in the US did waive off the requirement for GRE. And if you've taken a GRE, you can always say that though my college did not require the GRE, but I was very committed and I did take my GRE. However, on that particular day, a couple of questions didn't go well. So my GRE score dropped. However, I'm really happy that I've gotten to a college of my choice, right? So that's how you can answer that. And it's not a problem if you have a GRE, a low GRE score. How do you present yourself is very important. Thank you.
Now, sir, Ritu is asking, can we submit DS-160 after securing a slot?
Yes, you can. Like I said, your DS-160 is valid for 30 days, and in between, if you get a visa slot, you can book your visa slot and then submit it. However, I would recommend that complete that. Sometimes a lot of students forget that in excitement, and then just disappears, and then there's a lot of tension that goes into their mind. So I would suggest that go in a logical sequence. That would really help. But to answer your question, yes, you can do that. Thank you.
Now, Series is asking, is it okay to switch loan providers for I-20 in visa interview if we are getting a better offer from a different bank?
Yes, definitely you can do that. You can switch it because it's your personal choice. And if the officer asks you this question, that should be your answer. That I applied to 5 different places, and by the time I heard, because we had a deadline to submit our documents for the I-20. However, after that, the other bank which came to us with a better offer, so I like to switch. That's okay. That's absolutely your personal choice. Thank you.
By the way, I would like to mention that Zolve also helps students to get to get loans from top 15 providers by filling out just a single form. So you can definitely check for your to fund your education via Zolve. Moving ahead to the next question. Monish is asking, my university starting date is June 2nd and still the visa slot is not booked. Do I need to defer or I need to wait until May 20th?
I would suggest that because we've really you can wait until mid of May and then decide what you need to do. But at the same time, start talking to your university, and you can also give a screenshot of the embassy website, which is what is the status of releasing the visa appointments, so that it shows that things are beyond your control. All right. Thank you.
Next question is by Abby. Do I have to show funds for my living if I am staying with my relatives in the US?
Okay, excellent question, and thank you for asking this question, because we need to understand that there are two kinds of students applying for visas every day. One, those who want to go to the US, and one, those who want to go and study in the US. There's a huge difference. The officer will ask you, why have you chosen this particular university, right? Because you want to ascertain that you're a genuine student, you are a credible student, you have a reason to go and study there. And if your answer is that I've chosen this university because my relative lives there, so the whole concept of going to the US disappears, right? You would immediately drop your chances, right? So I would suggest that, and also, like I said, you also have to show strong ties to your home country, social ties, financial ties, and of course your professional goals in India, right? So indirectly, I'm saying it is important that you do carry all the financial papers of your family and show that you've got enough funds to support yourself, even for your living and even for your education, tuition fees, and etc. Right? So make sure that you carry all those documents. And living with your relative, good for you. But then you have to show the reason why we chosen this university, not because your relative is there. It's a big no from my side. Thank you.
Anish, I think, has a similar question. I have a brother in USA who is under H-1B visa. Will the visa officer know about that even if I don't mention it in my DS-160?
Okay. So
Interesting
Huh.
question.
So I keep telling everyone that the American embassy is working on computers. They're not working on typewriters, right? So that's one. and so when you fill your DS-160 on your DS-160, you would have mentioned the name and date of birth of your parents, and I'm sure your brother would have also done that. What would the system do? The system will scan the data and show up, right? So always be authentic, be very clear. It makes no difference if you have a brother who's staying in the US on an H1. Again, how do you answer that question is very important. Please, please, please do not hide such important information from the officer. They have the best of the systems. I mean, if I go and Google search, I'll get the information on Agra or anybody. And I mean, look, they've got very concentrated and very focused data, right? So, like I said, name and date of birth of your parents, name and date of birth of your parents, of your brother, it shows up. So don't make that mistake, please. Thank you.
Hariharan is asking, is I need to book a slot only for the main interview or else I need to book biometric and main interview both? If I do not book a biometric slot, what would happen?
Okay. All right. So once again, it's a system which has been created by the embassy. It moves in a logical progression. So once you fill your DS-160, once you create your profile, pay the visa application fees, and once the dates are released, the first calendar that would open up would show you as OFC slots. So you have to book the OFC slot. Only then it takes you to the next page. So it's a logical thing. It's not your choice, right? Thank you.
Next question is from Ian, who's asking, what are some red flags to avoid to prevent rejection in F1 visa?
Great question, Ian. This would require a full session. Like we said in the beginning,
Yeah.
that we would be definitely conducting, such webinars in the future where we'll be talking about how to qualify for a visa. What are the questions the officer might ask and how to answer those questions. But red flags would be that choice of I've chosen this university because I really like the weather there. I've got my relative there. It's relatively cheap, or I mean inexpensive, right? Things like that. If you're not even aware of the program that you're going in for, if you're not able to show or project your reasons of coming back, your intention of returning back to your home country, if you don't even know what program you want to go and study there, all those are big, big red flags for the visa officer. But like Zolve have been saying and we have been saying, we'll be conducting such webinars in the future where we'll be talking about only how to conduct visa interviews and what are the big red flags. So please do attend those. Thank you.
Yeah. So Dhruvin has a question, why US isn't giving visa date? 2 times I deferred my program.
Okay.
Very angrily, I think this comment has been typed in
Well, I can
aggression.
understand. I can understand. The pain over here. And we do understand and sympathize with a lot of students. And I wish I had the authority to release the visa appointments. But I guess there are a lot of things which goes into it. It could be the what happened during the pandemic. What are the kind of force that they have, the kind of availability of visa officers. There could be availability of the number of slots, but they try and accommodate. I mean, even if you look at the data of the last year, they issued the highest number of student visas, which was close to about 140,000 students, which is a huge number in India. So I'm sure they're also gearing up. They also, I mean, when you're posting this question, I'm sure the embassy is getting lot more emails from all around, India, asking them why are they doing this. There could be angry parents, there could be angry students, there could be universities. There are a lot of information or a lot of such what do you say, emails going to them as well. I'm sure they are working on it, and I'm sure that in the coming times it'll get much easier. Thank you.
So Priyanshu is asking, I had an interview slot booked last year, but could not attend it. I deferred the program. How will I be considered? I a fresher or
Well,
something
if
else?
you book the visa slot and if you've not attended it, if you did not go for an interview, so you'll be a fresher. As simple as that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Adarsh is asking, I am going on sabbatical leave. So is it good or not? And can I tell them by myself or wait for any
Well,
question?
going on a sabbatical is a wonderful thing because you're already showing your intent to return back to your home country. And I would encourage that, bring this up voluntarily. For example, when the officer says, why do you want to go to the US? Usually that's the first question. You would say, sir, I've been working for X number of years and I wanted to upgrade my skills. So I spoke to my HR and they've given a sabbatical for me so that I can go study and return back to my home country. So you've already building in your intentions of returning back. So it's a fantastic thing. Bring it yourself. Thank you.
So Priscilla is asking, should I mention about receiving admit offers from universities of other countries?
Definitely, because if you look at the cultural thing, in the US, the cultural thing is like, they like to understand or they like to go with choices. It's my choice, right? So when you say that, I applied to 5 colleges, in fact, I've got 2 admits from, let's say, UK, one from Canada, but, after careful comparison, I decided that US and particularly this university would be really good for me because of the course content. Talk about the specialization that you're going in for. What break it up into the program, right? And then link it with your career objectives. That's how you need to answer that because then it shows that you're a credible student. You did your research. You're serious about your career. Thank you.
The page is asking, if I mention a relative in US with a green card, how to show ties in home country? What additional questions can be
Well,
asked?
look, on the DS-160, when you start filling your DS-160, there are 2 questions. First question is like, do you have any immediate relative? So immediate relative would essentially mean your parents, your siblings, your spouse, and your kids, right? And if none of them are there, and when you say no, the next question comes up which says, do you have any other relative? When you say yes, it does not ask you those kind of questions. So I do not know where will you mention that you have a relative who's a green card holder there, unless in the question where it says the point of contact where you mention your relative. So as a student, I would always encourage students to mention the name of the university that you're going for, right? Not information about your relative where you will go and stay. All right. Okay. So make sure the distinction between these two. Thank you.
Our next question is that I have registered a company under my name. Is that a good thing to support my point of studying in US in visa interview?
Definitely, I mean, the other thing is like, a lot of students, those who go there, and when they talk about like, what are your career objectives? Why will you come back? Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? They say like, I want to complete my education and come back and do a startup in India. Sounds very fancy, sounds very good, but it does not give a direction. What does a startup mean? So you have to be more specific. If you opened a company, what is that company? What does that company do? Is it related to what you want to go and study? Have you identified your goals and objectives with that company? And then create that kind of an environment which tells the officer that you've identified this thing, and because of this reason you want to go and study in America, so that once you come back and contribute in the growth of this company, right? So create that kind of an environment or create that kind of a understanding that what you want to come back and solve through this company. All right. Not just saying that, I have a company here, so I like to come back. That makes no sense. You know, Create that narrative which tells the officer, A, your reason of going there, what are your career objectives, what will you study there, is it in sync with your career objectives and this company? Then it will make a lot more sense. Thank you.
Nishit is asking how to deal with this social media activity at port of entry, which is one of the main reasons of deportations in recent times.
Okay. Now, again, it's a very good question and very important question. So, a lot of people, even before they are going to the US, they start talking to their friends and relatives on WhatsApp and maybe a Facebook saying that I'll be coming and studying and I'll be doing this thing. Can you find a job for me, right? or is there a possibility that I can do part-time jobs to sustain my expenses or to cover my expenses? So please understand, your current objective is to go and study there, right? So you have to focus on your education. If you start looking beyond that, then it creates a suspicion in the visa officer's mind or the immigration officer at the port of entry that what are your current intentions. So good question, and it should go for everyone, that limit your conversation, limit your social media activities to your studies. you know do not go beyond that, because when you go beyond that, then it shows your intention, because the whole idea or the visa law says that we need to be convinced of your intentions of returning back to your home country, right? So make sure, that's a very good question. So Nishant, make sure that everybody else also to limit your conversation to your education. Talk about the education, talk about the quality of education, talk about what will you learn there, what are the kind of exposures that you'll get, rather than asking, can I come back, can I come there and work? Thank you.
So, sir, we have also made a detailed video of the reasons that might get you deported from the US if you are staying in the US on a F1 or H1B visa. So, I pasted the link in the chat. I would suggest all of you to go to this video, check out the video after this session is over, and after your questions are answered here. So yeah, we'll move ahead to the next question, which is by Kevin. Is asking, please explain OFC consular visa slots and the difference between them.
Okay, so OFC and council visa slots. So OFC means your biometrics, your fingerprinting. So when you schedule the interview for both your OFC and your council appointment, the documents that you need to carry for OFC is going to be limited to your passport, your visa appointment letter, your DS-160 confirmation page, your I-20, and your service fee receipt. So when you go in for your OFC, they want to check whether you filled your details on the visa forms correctly. Is it in sync with your passport, with your I-20 and your DS-160? And have you paid the service and all? And then once they're satisfied, they'll send you inside. Over there, they'll take your biometrics, your fingerprinting, and they'll click a picture of yours. There is no submission of documents. And they'll return all those documents after taking your fingerprint and clicking your picture, and you're out. The consular appointment is the place, it's the embassy where the interview happens. That's where the decision happens, right? So once you go there, you have to carry all these documents: your passport, your visa appointment letter, your DS-160 confirmation page, your I-20 and your service fee receipt, and all your education documents, your work-related documents if you've been working, then all your financial papers, right? So once you go there at the embassy, they'll check your documents and they would verify that you've taken your fingerprints and your photographs have been clicked. Then you go inside, and then the officer will take your interview and decide whether you qualify for a visa or not. If you qualify for a visa, they'll keep your passport, and then you can expect your passport within a week's time. So that's the difference between the OFC and the consular appointment. Thank you.
Great. We'll move ahead to the next question. Uh, so, sir, Janvi is asking, I have received the Dean scholarship from the university. Is it worth mentioning this to the officer? Will it help increase my chances of getting my visa approved?
All right. So, like I said, because the officers are looking at your financial ties to your home country. So, how do you answer the question also become very important. If the officer says, why have you chosen this university? If your answer is, I've chosen this university because I'm getting a Dean scholarship. So, the connotation of the answer becomes absolutely different, right? So, you could mention, why have you chosen this university? You could mention, sir, I've based on my requirement because I want to specialize in this particular field. I did my research, looked at various colleges, applied to 6, got 3 admits, but I've chosen this particular university based on the course content, curriculum, the professors, which are in sync with my career objectives, all that stuff. And when the officer says, how will you fund yourself? That's where you can mention that my parents are going to fund me. We have a current annual income of X amount. We have savings of X amount, property worth X amount. In addition to this, looking at my credentials, the college has offered me a Dean scholarship. That's how you mention it, which would then give a compliment rather than, your reason of choosing is because you're getting a scholarship. So that's how you differentiate between giving an answer or giving an appropriate answer, which the officer might take a decision based on that. So thank you, Janvi. Bye-bye.
So, guys, we'll take a few last questions. We are moving to the end of this session. So, we'll take 2, 3 more questions. Then we'll jump to a small session where we'll answer your queries related to Zolve. And towards the end, we'll entertain 1 or 2 questions more. And then we'll meet in the next session. So yeah, if you really want to get your question answers, please leave that in the chat section. So Prakhar is asking, if I'm not planning to come back or at least for a prolonged time of 10 years, will this be too suspicious to the visa officer?
So, Prakhar, how would the officer know that you want to go and stay there for 10 years? Right? I mean, look, unless you go and tell the officer, what are your future plans? And I want to stay in the US for 10 years. Right? So, I've been saying that, the officer, it's not a suspicion. I mean, you're telling the officer that you don't want to come, so there's no scope of suspicion. Right? So, the whole idea of the visa interview and the visa law says that you have to show your intentions to go and study there and also show that you're not a potential immigrant, you have reasons to come back, right? Not that you want to go and stay there for 10 years. If somebody wants to stay there for 10 years, then they have different visa categories. There's a student visa, right, where it allows you to go and study there. Then it is an incorporate OPT, which is called the optional practical training. If you're going under the STEM program, you're allowed to stay there for three years to do your internships. And if you are contributing during your internship with the company really likes you and you're adding value, they'll do an H1 for you. Once the H1 gets approved, you can apply for an H1. So that's the logical progression rather than saying that I'm going on a student visa and would like to stay there for 10 years. It wouldn't make sense to anyone because your current idea is to go and study there, right? So there are different visa categories for different purposes, right? So if you follow that, the regulation, if you follow those visa law, then it becomes easier. Thank you, Prakash. Bye-bye.
So Ritu is asking, I have enough amount of funds in my bank account and have been filing ITR since 10 years. Have not applied for loan yet. Is that negative from from visa point of view? Should I apply for loan?
Okay. So, like I've been saying, when you apply for your visa, the officers are looking at your financial strength. So loan is only the availability of funds. If you have enough funds, if you've not taken a loan, it's a fantastic thing. So you can always mention, sir, that I've been working for the past 10 years, masters or upgrading my education expense of my journey was always on my mind, and I've been consciously saving for my education, right? So I have my total annual income X amount. I've got total savings and investments worth X amount, which covers my tuition and my living expense. It's a very good thing if you're showing your own personal funds. But at the same time, do mention, if required, my parents or my family is also here to support me. Thank you.
So we'll take a couple of questions more and then we'll move ahead to taking Zolve's question. I'm sure you guys have already checked out the link that I have pinned in the description. And if you have any queries regarding the US SIM card or the checking account or the credit card that you can get, that you can apply for before moving to the US and you can get it from the comfort of your home, you can definitely ask us specific queries about that. So before jumping into that section, sir, we'll take a couple of questions
Sure.
more.
Sure.
So Sunil is asking, have obligations in my current company to give notice period, which is around 2 months, and I need to fly to New York in the first week of August. Can I get visa slot in May, or is there any other
So, like
option?
I said, the embassy has already made the announcement. They would be releasing appointments in June and July, right, for the fall session. So probably by mid of May, you could possibly get a visa appointment for June. It's not going to be that they'll be releasing an appointment in May for May. What I read on their website is very clear. So June and July. So probably try and complete all your processes now and start looking for appointments and try and get an appointment first week of June itself, so that you have that obligation to cover it up. Thank you.
Uh, So Kamalakar is asking, I have applied for 5 universities and got acceptance and I-20 from only one university, which I wanted. If a visa officer asks me about how many you applied, if I say I got only 1 out of 5, will that be
Not
negative?
at all. So let's look at this case very holistically. So when I say holistically, what does that mean? That I'm sure that each university has limited seats for international students, and if the numbers are very high, they cannot accommodate everyone, right? And then start issuing I-20s to everyone who applies for an admission over there, right? So, but however, to answer the question, you can always mention to the officer that yes, I did my research, I looked at various colleges, applied to 5, but this particular university was among my top 3 or my top 2 choices. So when I heard from this university, I actually did not pursue the others because it was covering all the required, or it was checking all the boxes that I wanted, like the course content, the curriculum, the teaching methodology, the research, the professors, which is in sync with my career objectives because I want to study this to achieve this, right? That's how you can justify that, once you receive this, admit you did not pursue the others. Thank you. Bye bye.
Naman is sir asking, I think there are a lot of questions related to a family already
Yeah.
staying in the US and how will it impact them.
Right.
So, would you like to take this
Yeah.
question
You know,
specifically, sir, or you want to
no, that's
explain in
fine.
brief?
Because like I also write, in the middle, I guess I had answered this question. If you have a
Yeah.
sibling there, it makes no difference. That's one, right? Because that's his journey and this is your journey. As long as you're very sure what you want to go and study there and you have very clear what are the subjects that you want to study, what are the career objectives, and what are the specialization and what are the skill set that you want to achieve. If you are able to get this information, which and first you have to be convinced that this is what you want to do. And to answer that question, yes, my brother's studying over there. He's doing an OPT extension, and that was the whole idea. That my brother completes his OPT and he would return back, and then I'll go and study there. So you can also round it up like this by showing his intention of returning back to your home country as well. Thank you.
India First is asking, can I use my Spring 24 DS-160 for Fall
Well,
24?
if there are no changes like the service number, then yes, you can use the same DS-160. It's absolutely fine. Thanks.
Mm. Next question will take from Bumpy's Dig. He's asking, how much time does it take for the passport to come back to me with a visa approval or rejection after the interview? Should I start filling DS-160 before receiving the I-20 or should I
Okay,
wait?
so the first thing is we cannot start filling the DS-160 until we have the I-20 because on the visa form, which is called the DS-160, there will be a lot of details from the I-20 that goes in. The name of the college ID, the service number. So you have to wait until you get your I-20. And similarly, on your profile, you have to mention all those details, to secure a visa appointment. Once you go in for your visa interview, the officer takes a decision right on that day. If they issue a visa, they'll keep your passport and you can expect your passport back within 3 or 4 days. If your visa unfortunately gets rejected, they'll hand over the passport right there and then. That's how it works. Thanks.
Okay, sir, we'll take a couple of minutes to answer the queries regarding Zolve, Zolve credit card, US SIM card, or the checking
Yeah.
account. For that, I would like to invite my colleague, Kopal, to answer all your queries. Hi, Kopal, welcome to the session. You're not audible, Kopal. Kopal, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Hi, Vanshi. Thanks a lot
Yes,
for
audible.
inviting me. Thanks a lot for inviting me. And hi, Sanjay sir. Very nice to meet you. I see that you have
Hi,
again
how are
gathered a
you?
lot of fan base. I'm sure students are benefiting with all of the information which you are providing.
I mean, this is all solved, because you're doing a great job by bringing in all this information and providing information to the students. I'm sure it would definitely help them. It's a great work that Zolve and your team is doing, and it's lovely meeting you after a long time. Great.
Lovely
Yeah.
meeting you too, sir.
Thanks.
So, Gopal, why don't you give users a little benefits? Tell them about the benefits of applying for a card or a SIM card or a credit card or a checking account with Zolve, and then we can take specific queries.
Sure, Mansi. All right. So the people who are going to US, right? You should first of all know that the US financial system is very different from the Indian financial system, right? So this is something which you realize once you reach to the US. So that is where Zol comes in. What happens is that, let's suppose you have your debit card, credit card, and everything sorted here. There, when you land in US, you need your credit card, you need your SIM card to connect with your family back here, or you need to connect with the Uber drivers, or you need to connect with anybody who is there, right? So that is what we help in. I'm sure Manchi must have told you, we help in bridging this gap, we help in smoothing your journey from India to US, right? So if I talk about credit card particularly, I don't know how many of you are aware, but in US you won't get a credit card without SSN. Now, what is SSN? SSN is actually US. It is completely driven by US government. It is a combination of Aadhaar and PAN, right? So you can only get an SSN with after you have a work have after you have a job, and without a job you can't get a credit card. And why credit card is important? Because the credit score is really important there. Once you get your visa and you apply for accommodation, you will know that they will ask for US credit score, which is very important. And that is the gap which we are bridging in. What we do is we provide the students a credit card up to $5,000 limit, and in a very simple process. What we do is that we look at your history, look at the college which you are going in, or look at the if you have used any credit card in India before, and what was your credit score in India. Using all of these factors, we have developed an algorithm where we give you a credit limit of a US credit card. That particular US credit card you can use anywhere and everywhere in US. So we have partnered with Mastercard for that. So you can use in your Starbucks, you can use in your bookshop, on your library, everywhere you can use that. And along with that, one of the major benefit of having this credit card is that you also get numerous cashbacks. So you have 1% cashback on every transaction, right? Apart from that, you will get 10% cashback on a lot of stores. And there is no annual fees, there is no security deposit for a classic credit card. So I know that you have to get visa right now, but I would really say that you start applying, or you start thinking about this financial system of US from right here, so that you are well prepared when you go to the US.
Correct, Kopal. So some of them are asking how to apply for this credit card and SIM card.
All right. So it is very easy. What you have to go do is that you have to go to Zolve.com. There, in case you already have a login, you just have to click on the home page which is there. If you already have an account, you have to just click on the home page. There on the home page, in the credit card page, you will be able to apply. Right. After a few days, we will open the application, and then you will be able to apply. Uh, for the SIM card particularly, you will be able to apply even right now. So you just have to log into the account. In case you don't have the account, just create one account. Very easy to create. And in that account, you will also get the information of all the visa webinars, all the other resources which we have. Just go to the home page, click on SIM card, and apply. We deliver the SIM card back to your home address also in India. So and completely free of cost delivery. So I would really suggest everybody who is going to US to just take it and take it with you to the US. If you think that you won't be able to use it, or you will be using some other SIM card, you can still have it delivered at your home because it's completely free of cost. So go ahead and go to your create a Zolve account. It is very simple to create in case you already don't have it. And go to the home page, go to the SIM card tile, and click on apply. And that is where you will.
And the link to Zolve website is already pinned in the chat box, so you can directly click on that and follow the steps that were shared by Kopal.
Yeah.
So Geetanjali, Kopal is asking, is it a must to get loan from Zolve to get the credit card and forex cards?
Okay. So Gitanjali, thanks a lot for asking. And no, this is not. They are very different products. So you can get an education loan and decide to not take a Zolve credit card, or you can take an education. You can not take an education loan and still get a credit card. So you don't have to worry about this.
Our second question is, are there any charges that will be incurred on transactions with the Zolve credit card?
So there are no charges which are there. You will only get rewards. You will only get rewards once you swipe the credit card. There are no particular charges. If there are any charges which are there, you will be informed prior to the transaction. So you don't need to worry about it. We'll be very transparent about it.
So Ramya is asking, what is the fee for the US SIM card?
So, first of all, to apply for the US SIM card, you have to give certain documents like passport, so that we know that you are definitely going to the US. And once you go upload all of these documents, you can give your Indian address, and you can ship the delivery to your home address in India. Now, when you ask about the fee to deliver and to get the SIM card, there is no fees. The fees is only to recharge the SIM card, and that is up to the plan which you decide. Let's suppose you decide a $20 plan or a $15 plan, then you will have to incur that fees. But the SIM card delivery is completely free of cost. And I would really suggest you to do it, because we will also open some of the SIM card offers in June. So if you have a SIM card ready, you can just take the offer available, the offer code, and you can apply to the SIM card and take the plan almost for free.
Okay, we'll move ahead to the next question, which is what about people who are currently UG students? Most of them would have only debit card and no credit card.
No, so if you are above 18 age, and if you talk to your friends who are in US already, everybody uses a credit card there. They not only use a debit card, they use a credit card because it is an early chance for you to build your credit score. As soon as you cross 18, everybody in US start checking a credit card. And to your question that what are the charges using Zolve, there are no different charges. Any particular charge, you will be informed beforehand. We'll be completely transparent about it.
Great. We'll move ahead to the next question. Naman is asking any international lounge access with Zolve credit card.
This is one of the most asked questions. So as of now, no, we don't have international launch access, but we are working towards it. In fact, me and Manshi together are working towards it. So do check us back in June. Definitely, we are thinking that we'll be launching the international launch access.
Gopi is asking, is it available in India? So yeah, Zolve credit card, SIM card, checking account. We should tell about all three.
Yeah, sure. So definitely all the application process you can do finish in India itself. You can do all the process and just go to US, land in the airport, and from there only you can activate everything. In fact, I have traveled to US 3 times. Every time I have taken different credit cards from Zolve only, and I have the moment I land to the airport, I just open the app and I get the credit card number, and I use that only to book my first Uber. So to your question, application is completely available in India, and the credit card number and the debit card, the checking account number will be shared to you once you land to the US. And the SIM card is something which you can get it delivered to your home address in India.
So Shiris is asking ki, how will you check my Indian credit score? I don't have any when issuing the card.
So the type of customers which we get, the students, they have they either have the Indian credit score. In case they are working, generally people have the credit card. In case they do not have the credit card, you don't have to worry. We still are able to give a credit card to you. So in case you do not have the Indian credit score, it's completely fine. We, based on the college which you are going or based on some other information, we'll be able to give you a credit limit. So no worries in case you do not have a credit score already.
So the next question is for SIM card. Ramya is asking, what provider is the SIM from? Will we get the same plans that are available in the US?
Very interesting question. So we have partnered with multiple networks. I'm not sure whether how many of people are aware, but in US there are certain network providers. For example, we have Airtel in India, right, or Airtel or Jio in India. In US there are certain other SIM card providers. For example, AT&T is one of them. T-Mobile is another one of them. Then there is Leica, there is Matrix. So we have partnered with all of these. So the SIM card which you will get is dependent on which one do you want to get. So you will have the option of getting any of these. Just select that SIM card and you can deliver that one at your house.
Kopal, we'll take the last question. It would be very beneficial if you can share a comparison between credit card, specifically Zolve credit card, and any other Forex card.
Understood. All right. So this is again one of the most asked questions. So I will clarify this. So Forex card is something, as the name explains, it's a foreign exchange card. It is a very interim card. So for example, I am traveling to US right now. So what I will do is, let's suppose some of the people prefer to take a Forex card. Now I take a Forex card, I load money into it, and I use it in US as soon as I land. But I am saying that it's an interim card because I cannot use it everywhere in US. In some of the places it will work, in some of the places it will not work, right? And another thing is that there are some heavy charges which are involved in this. For instance, that let's suppose I have uploaded 3,000 rupees worth of money, then the charges which I am incurring on every transaction, maybe some 1% or 2% charges they will take for every transaction, more charges, right? So that is forex card. It's a very interim solution. It is not a long term solution. The US credit card is something which works completely in US and outside US as well. Like if you come back to India, it will work in India as well. So the way it helps is that it helps in building the credit score, the US credit score. Forex card will not help you build the US credit score, which is very important in US. So and plus there are no additional charges if you are using those in US, right? So it's completely US. Zolve is also headquartered out of US. So it's a US based credit card which is taken by the people who had for a long term visa. They are in US, right? And students qualify for that. And that is the major difference. So you will be able to build the credit score with Zolve credit card and not with the forex card. Plus, it is a long term solution and it will work. The credit card will work everywhere, wherever you want.
Great. Thank you so much. We have almost reached the end of the session. And before that, I would like to know, let you guys know that once you get your visa approved, you can come to Zolve website again and upload your visa, and we will definitely have some exciting offers for you, right? Okay, thank you so much, Kopal. Thank you so much for sharing the insights with the viewers today. I would definitely encourage everyone to check out the Zolve link again. And in next session, if you have any more queries, we are more than happy to answer all your queries.
Definitely.
Now we'll move ahead to the visa questions. Sir, sorry to keep you waiting. We'll take a few more questions and then we'll wrap the session so that we can see all of them again in our next session.
Absolutely.
Right? Uh, okay. So we'll take question from Mahit, who is asking, what are the joining? Okay, this is a credit card question. So yeah, will all the information related to credit card, I will put it in the description. You can come back and check it. Meanwhile, you can also click on the link that is pinned in the comment, and you can land on the Zolve website to get more insights on the credit card or the other products of Zolve. So, sir, Gitanjali is asking, I have my personal fund to pay tuition fee in SBI. How to pay my tuition fee from Zolve card? Okay. Credit limit is $5,000. Okay. Again, this is a credit card question. We'll answer those questions in the next session. Harpreet is asking, my university is Southeastern New Hemisphere University. Is that good?
Well, it's I've not heard of this university. Have you, Harpreet? Have you applied to other universities as well? If you have, I would suggest that try and also look at other universities which has much more credibility or which has much more bigger names here. But this one particular I've not heard, so I would not like to comment on that. Thank you. Sorry.
So this is a repetitive question, and we have got this question in our previous section as well.
Right.
So which consulate to prefer for the interview?
Any consulate which is within your consular district. So I keep telling everyone the visa officers are trained in Washington. They're not trained in Washington for Chennai or Delhi. So the visa law remains the same. It is only that some people who get rejected, and this is where everything comes from, is that there is so much of noise on the digital platform that students really get confused. Like I said also in the beginning, that it is better to apply for your visa in that consular district, because the officers would understand your situation much better, because that's how they have divided the consular district in that sense. So I would suggest stick to your own consular district, and prepare well. If you're not able to understand why you want to go and study there, what are the programs that you want to go and study there, what are your career objectives, are you linking all of them together, then any consulate is bad, right? Because you're not able to answer that question, or you're not able to articulate that answer. So focus on your own strength rather than thinking, which consulate is better. Thank you.
Sir, I'll take one credit card question, which Karthik is asking. Can I use Zolve credit card to make any payments in USD while in India? So, Karthik, you can get your card, Zolve credit card in India, but you can only activate it once you land in the US. So, so you will not be able to make any transactions in India. You will only be able to make transactions when you land in the US. We'll take next question. which is from Lakshmi. Should the visa interview be within 10 days of biometrics?
Oh, okay, okay, good question. No, there's nothing like this. It can be apart, like maybe 20 days or 2 months or 3 months. That makes no difference. So, but however, it is always better to complete the visa process as soon as possible. But there's no restriction or a stipulation that it should be within 10 days of the biometrics. Thank you.
So Rahul is asking, which university is better for visa? St. Louis University or New Haven or Webster University?
Okay, so visa officers' decisions are not based on the university. The visa officers' decisions are based on the visa law. So it has to be your choice, and it has to be very clear what you want to go and study there. On what basis have you chosen this university? I've answered this question at length, that it should not be a university which is more affordable. It is not that the university has a great weather which matches the Indian weather, or I've chosen this university because it's closer to my relatives. So their decision is not based on the university, right? It is based on what you answer, what are your choices, and why have you chosen this particular university, all right? And also understand, any university which is eligible to issue an I-20 has gone through the whole process designed by the US government with US. Like I said in the beginning, every I-20 that comes or is being issued is also in sync with the Department of Homeland Security and the USCIS. Very, very important departments of the US government. So every university is good. It all depends on why have you chosen this university. So prepare well in that sense. Thank you.
Great. So Mahit is asking, I still haven't accepted my admit and I am still waiting to hear from other colleges. So will I not have an I-20 for another month mostly? Will this be an issue since I might not be able to book visa?
Okay. So, Mahib, I've been saying this for a very long time now, even in this session, that the embassy is going to release the appointment for June and July. And all the I-20s are being issued in sync with the Department of Homeland Security and the USCIS. And I'm sure they'll be, sharing those numbers with the Department of State as well. So if they're issuing, let's say, 100 I-20s, I'm sure the department would also be releasing 100, visa slots. So it's not that, it'll get filled. But try and expedite your process of getting your I-20 ASAP so that you can complete the process as soon as possible rather than waiting towards the end. Thank you.
So next question is from Karthik, who's asking,
Sorry.
how do I find my counselor district? I am from Bangalore. Should it be okay to select Chennai or Hyderabad?
Okay, so when you're choosing your council district, it says where you're staying. So I'm sure Bangalore falls under Karnataka, and when it says Karnataka, it will by default show you Chennai, right? However, I guess your question is if I fill my DS-160 or if I've already created my profile, saying Chennai, can I actually choose a visa appointment in any other consulate? Yes, you can. But to answer your question, you're from Bangalore, so by default, it'll take you to Chennai. Thank you.
Sir, Gitanjali is asking, my personal sponsor is a green card holder in US. As I earlier said, I showed sponsor in I-20, but I am taking out loan for visa interview. How do I
Well,
explain
like I
that?
said, if you heard what I said, during my conversation here, I said that, we had a deadline to match and our funds were, scattered. It was taking time for consolidation of our funds or get an education loan. So my friend or my relative in the US volunteered to show the funds to the university. However, my family here is capable of taking care of my expenses, and moreover, I've taken an education loan which covers my living expense and my tuition fees. That's how you can explain it. Thank you.
Sir, again, Priyanshu is asking, what is the process to transfer service fee to different
Okay.
program?
So if you log on to the fmjfe.com, this is where you had paid the service fees. If you log on to there is a provision to transfer your fees from A university to B university. It's a very simple process. You have to mention the I-20 details, your old service number, and request them to transfer it to the new service ID. It's a very simple process. Just log on to the fmjfee.com and follow the instructions there. Very simple. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take the last question. I I can see repeated question here. So in case you have just joined, I would request you guys to please go towards the beginning of the session, and you can. I'm sure you will find all the answers to your questions. We'll take the last question from Naman, who is asking, can we show mutual fund stocks, bitcoins as a proof of fund?
Okay, so Naman, so there are two aspects. One is the I-20 documents for an I-20 and documents for the visa. Documents for the I-20, the officer or the university wants to see the availability of funds, where you have to get a bank statement or a bank balance certificate which shows that your sponsor or you have enough money to cover the tuition fees and the living expense for the first 1 year. However, when you go in for the visa interview, the officers are looking at the financial strength. And when I say financial strength, what does that mean? There has to be an annual income which is coming in. There are savings and investment, and savings and investments can be shown through mutual funds, stocks, Bitcoin, fixed deposit, shares, bonds, PF, property, all of that. Yes, you can show that during the interview. These documents, mutual funds, stock, Bitcoin, will not be considered for your I-20. So two different processes. So be sure that what is your question. Is it for visa? Then yes, you can show. If it's for an I-20, no, this will not work. Thank you.
I think that's all for now, sir. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for answering so many questions. We bring this platform to all the students so that they can get relevant information and they are not exposed to any noise that are there in the digital platform. So thank you so much for being very helpful for everyone, for being a major part in fulfilling their US dreams.
Yes, yes. That's the whole.
Thank you so much for joining,
Thank you so
sir.
much, Manshi, and thank you so much, Zolve, because that's the whole idea. I mean, it's my passion, and I love doing this, and I want the students to, achieve what they are going in for, especially to them and their parents, because they all go through so much of stress, and this process of visa is eventually moving from your own personal space, and the entire thing goes into somebody else's hand, like the visa officers. So the stress level goes up. So thank you for bringing this information to the students. Thank you so much, Mansi, and hope to see all of these students and more students in our next session. Thank you so much. Thanks.
And in our next session, we will be talking in details about DS-160 on mistakes to avoid, and we'll address any specific queries if you have. So stay tuned. Come again for the next event. The link for that will be floated as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. Check out Zolve, and we'll solve your Zolve queries again. And see you in the next
I just
video.
want to answer one more question. I guess the gentleman has
Yeah,
been repeatedly posting one question, which says that why are they releasing these slots? Will it be three
yeah.
352 days? Trust me, that's incorrect information. So please don't follow that, because that information is absolutely irrelevant. Because once again, go onto the embassy website. They say very clearly in August they'll release these slots for the refused slots. Thank you. This was my last answer, because I was really, really concerned about the gentleman. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Bye bye. See